He just leaked it. We have a big UFC fight card this weekend, and Khamzat Chimaev spoke up about who could be his next opponent. Let's talk all about it. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and good night. This is MMA 365, the greatest UFC news YouTube channel. So be sure to subscribe, especially because Yuri Prohaska bearing blue raspberry sour straws for the wise sage beaver, and he's not sure if they're up to the beaver's standard. And the only way to find out more is if you hit that subscribe button. 90% of you are not subscribed, so please hit that button. It helps me out. I appreciate it. Thank you. So let's talk about this. Khamzat Chimaev's coach spoke up in an interview, and he said that he sees a three-man race for the next title shot. And the specific quote is, "I think the UFC is waiting for this fight between Fluffy and Strickland to see what would sell more, the winner of that, or Nasruddin Imavov." And I get this, but I can't help but feel disappointed because I feel like Hamzat Chimaev and Nasruddin Imavov should already have been scheduled. This fight should have happened, and then this current fight this weekend, Fluffy Hernandez versus Sean Strickland, that should be the fight to determine who is the next contender. But instead, we're in a little bit of gridlock in the middleweight division. Not even a little bit, complete gridlock. Hamzat hasn't fought since October. There's been no word about him coming back. He sustained an injury. It's now Ramadan, so we won't be seeing Hamzat within the next few months, seemingly. But also in terms of the contenders, I mean, Nasruddin Imavov already proved that he deserves a shot. So there's no reason that these two couldn't be on the schedule. So I see this and I get it. Given the current situation, I agree, but it does kind of feel like what happened. The middleweight division was one of the best, and well, Hamzat Chimaev became champion, and all of a sudden things kind of took a turn for the worse. I don't necessarily think it's completely his fault, but it does raise an important question. Dricus du Plessis, he was a he was an active champion. He consistently fought every 6 months or so, and he also hasn't had a fight scheduled yet. Dricus du Plessis versus Brendan Allen. Let's do it. It'd be like a featured fight, co-main, fight night main event. I just don't understand why the middleweight division's progress is at a snail's pace. I know that Hamzat has an injury. I'm sure that these guys want their full camps, but let's go. Chop chop. Please. We're begging you. And I do want to talk about the fights this weekend, starting off on the main card. It's getting opened up with a Zachary Reese against Michelle Pereira, and the UFC seemingly is trying to make Zachary Reese happen, but I don't really get it. I watched in person him get slammed by Cody Brundage, and Cody Brundage isn't exactly the elite of the elite. And that was a couple of years ago, so maybe Zacharias has leveled up, but I'm I know Michelle Pereira is on a bad run, but there's levels to this. I'm almost tempted to pick Michelle Pereira, which against almost any other fighter I wouldn't, but I could see Michelle Pereira having a renaissance arc and defeating Zachary Reese. Who knows? Um, and the next fight I want to talk about, because this is one I'm actually really looking forward to, Jacoby Smith against Josiah Harrell. These two guys are really fantastic grapplers. They're both fairly short and stocky for the welterweight division. Jacoby Smith, he has a background as a D1 wrestler, and Josiah Harrell, he's coming back from a hiatus. He had a brain condition that he had to get cleared for. Uh, he's back now, and a nice comeback story. But I do think this could be a really fun fight because it is strength versus strength. Both of these guys are fantastic wrestlers. Maybe they negate each other out and they only focus on the stand up. But I am really curious to see how this plays out. I I'm really excited about it. And they're both undefeated, 11-0, identical record. So, yeah, this is the fight that I'm really looking forward to seeing. And then Sergey Spivak against Anti-Delija. I mean, Sergey Spivak, we know what we're getting. He fine grappling. He's a heavyweight. He's kind of a gatekeeper to that top 10. And as for Ante Delija, he's been training with Tom Aspinall. So Tom Aspinall knocked out Sergey Spivak in 1 round. I think Delija wins this. I think that he's could be a top 5 heavyweight. I think he has some actual talent and athleticism. Not to say Sergey Spivak doesn't, but I just think that heavyweight division is so thin that I like Anti-Delija's chances, and given especially when he trains with Tom Aspinall. And looking on to the rest of the card, Dan Ige against Melquizael Costa. I'm also looking forward to this one. Costa, he's been on a tear. He has 4 or 5 straight wins in a row. Most, if not all of them, by finish. And then Dan Ige, the quintessential featherweight gatekeeper. So this is just a chance to see if Melquizael Costa can be a legit contender, because Dan Ige, he kind of beats the people that he's supposed to beat and then loses to the people that he's supposed to lose to. So who knows? Next year we could be looking back and this was the stepping stone that propelled Costa into contention. But maybe Ige has a 29-28 decision win in him. I'm curious to see that fight. And then the co-main event, it does kind of feel a little strange with Jeff Neal against Uros Medic. But this fight should be a knockout and stiffly punching. Both of these guys are stand-up guys. And Neal, he's from the Texas area. He's from Dallas. He's coming off a brutal knockout against Carlos Prates, but who knows if Uros Medic has that power in him. He hasn't shown it yet. So not exactly the most exciting co-main event in terms of name value, but I see the vision. I see the vision. This probably will be a knockout, and the crowd will be really excited. And it does have some stakes in the welterweight division, and at least in the rankings. But the main event I want to talk about, Sean Strickland against Fluffy Hernandez. I think this fight is very interesting stylistically because Strickland has such strong defensive wrestling, whereas Fluffy Hernandez's style is just complete like brawl, exerting will, sort of beating the opponent down. But that's exactly the kind of matchup that strong Sean Strickland excels at. I mean, the thing with Sean Strickland is he had a masterclass against Israel Adesanya, and then against an unorthodox fighter like Dricus du Plessis, he lost 2 consecutive fights. So that's where I think Fluffy Hernandez needs to really show what he can do, is just having a different style, doing something different. I am really looking forward to this fight, but I'm a little worried because I like Fluffy Hernandez. I think he's a ton of fun to watch, but this is a huge step up. I mean, Roman Dolidze is not exactly the finest middleweight contender, and that's who Fluffy Hernandez beat. So this is a huge step up for Fluffy Hernandez, and I like him. But as for Sean Strickland, I mean, I think this is the exact kind of matchup where he could thrive, just throwing jabs and teeps for 5 rounds, wearing Hernandez down, winning on the scorecards. That's Strickland's path to winning. I'm sure he knows it, but I'm very curious to see how this plays out, and I am really excited for Saturday night. That'll conclude this video for now. Be sure to subscribe so that Yuri Prohaska's gift of blue raspberry sour straws to the beaver can be accepted. That beaver is a tough judge. Thank you for watching.